You are damn right, folks. Welcome to the HooperCast. It's a new day. It's a new week. The cells in your body continue to change and turn over, and in 7 years, none of them will be the same. And you won't be the same.
That's a scientific fact.
That is a fact.
You can take that to the scientific bank.
Mm-hmm. Get some scientific dollars. Go buy some scientific burgers.
Some scientific burgers.
Yeah, some science burgers.
Science burgers.
With extra science sauce.
Oh, we should make science burgers, yo.
I'd love to
That'd
make
be delicious.
The science sauce.
Ooh.
It's made out of
chemistry.
Magma.
It's made out of chemistry, Hooper.
Chemistry.
It's made out of chemistry.
Hit my microphone.
Respect the chemistry.
We are also on SoundCloud. If you're on YouTube, hello. If you're on SoundCloud, hi. If you want to know what we look like, go over to YouTube. Check out the show there. There's video elements, a little bit. Definitely go back and check out our episode about the Disney Pixar bracket if you want to hear who we think each wins the Disney Pixar March Madness.
I thought you were going to say if you want to know who we think we are. And I was like, actually, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you want to know who, yeah.
Who do these people think they are?
And if you
just watch our Disney bracket and you'll know.
If you'd like to see a sprawling epic of, I won't speak for Dustin, but definitely an odyssey of me, constantly flip flopping and trying to figure out who I am. Go just watch the entire show from its inception.
The review is longer than most of the films that we reviewed. Or maybe all the films that we reviewed.
So what?
The review, or the bracket, is longer than all of the films that we talk about.
In total length?
Yes.
Probably. The episode is a minute.
Wow.
An hour 51. And that very well might be greater than the runtime of any one of those films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
Most likely.
Well, today we're going to talk about A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of any jokes, so I just moved on to just saying the facts. We're going to talk about Wrinkle in Time, which Dustin saw, and I had no interest in, so I didn't see it. So okay. I'm going in with that point of view. So Dustin, I'd like you to tell me how worth my time would this have been?
Not very. So review over. A Wrinkle in Time. Quick summary here. Wrinkle in Time is directed by Ava DuVernay. It focuses on a young girl named Meg, as well as her little brother Charles Wallace. Meg and Charles Wallace are growing up in a single mother home because their father mysteriously disappeared when they were much younger. He's been missing for several years. Meg is convinced he's still alive somewhere out there, and much to her just
chagrin.
eager joy, three interdimensional beings have come to her and told her that indeed her father is still alive, and so they begin the journey through time and space, the galaxy, whatever you want to call it, in order to rescue and retrieve her father. The film stars Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling as the three interdimensional beings, Chris Pine as the lost father, Zach Galifianakis as another strange being, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw as the two young kids' mother, and the main character is played by newcomer Storm Reed. So the film is
sorry, is Gugu Mbatha-Raw, is she a young black woman?
Yes, she was in Cloverfield, the Cloverfield Paradox.
Okay, I think she was in an episode of Black Mirror I just saw.
Oh, okay, yeah, probably. Sorry. I think so, yes.
You can't miss that name, so I was just like, wait a second. I know that strange collection of sounds you just made.
Correct.
I think I phonetically read it in credits somewhere recently.
Yes, that was it. The film is obviously based on a book that has been around for quite some time, written by Madeleine L'Engle, I believe. A Wrinkle in Time is a strange story, which is simultaneously unoriginal, but strangely somewhat compelling. I'm not a big proponent of like all ideas must be original, because I don't really believe that any idea is original.
There's a popular theory out there that there's only 7 stories.
Right. And this is one of them. Like it's something you've seen before, whether it's Chronicles of Narnia or any of the other fantasy films, in which characters get swept into this crazy world unlike their own, and do things that are larger than life, but are metaphorical for our daily living. It's every single story like that. The thing is, when this book was released, it was originally kind of banned in a lot of the states, because people thought there's one famous passage in the book in which the 3 interdimensional women are talking about these people who have like reached enlightenment or reached this state where they're able to perceive, I don't know, it's all real lofty, but it's like they're able to perceive good and evil and do special things to protect the good. And they're like above average in protecting good and, I don't know, righteousness or whatever. Anyway, and the book is famous because it sort of, the characters rattle off a few names of people, like Einstein, who was one of these people he was special because of his contributions.
I hate when they do that in movies.
And they mention Jesus alongside some other religious figures. And so in the States, and especially in the Bible Belt, when the book was released, people got up in arms because they thought what the author was saying was that all of these people are on equal footing. So Jesus is not any more,
special.
Any more special than, say, Albert Einstein or Madame Curie or whatever. And so I think a lot of people got really, upset about it, and they banned the book. And so the book was kind of revolutionary for its time. And the reason I bring that up is because this film, so let me backtrack just a little bit more and add to that last point. The book is written by Madeleine L'Engle, who is actually a Christian, and wrote this book essentially in the same sort of vein as C.S. Lewis. So it's Christian allegory to her. And so she wasn't putting Jesus on the same plane as these other historical figures, but just sort of like pointing out that, these are all like, whatever. And so anyway, the point is, so she wasn't doing that. She intended this to be more of a Christian allegory. And the film goes the other way and decides to excise all mention of Christianity, and all of the Christian, allegory found within the story in favor of Eastern spirituality for the film. And the reason that I bring that up is because, as opposed to, if you guys go back and listen to my review of Ready Player One, which was co-written by the author, in this case you get somebody essentially perverting the original author's intent to, and however you feel, about religiosity or whatever the case is in films.
It's not true to the source material.
I think when you drastically change the author's intent, you've drastically changed the material itself. So cool. I've never read the book. My wife loves the book. My brother loves the book. I've never read the book, but that's not news because I don't read anything. But the point is that even I can tell it's like you have a story here that feels hollow and thin because it feels like something's been removed from it. And I think that's what happened here. It would be like making a Narnia movie, but removing anything that felt Christian.
It's crazy because, like, who would have thought that the original author, when they wrote the work, intended very intricately for all of these elements to be there because they were all integral to the story. And who would have thought that removing one of those pillars would result in the thing not making sense or feeling like something was missing?
Correct.
Who would have thought that the original author knew what they were doing when they wrote a story, and you remove an essential part of it, it'll be the same story.
Right. It seems like that would be very easily, understood, but I guess not.
I'm going from uninterested to angry. About what's happened here.
Right. But so the whole point of the film is, love conquers all. Again, that's not an original idea, but I think originally it was tied more to religious thought of, love being, sort of the cornerstone of the ministry of Jesus Christ. And by removing that, it just becomes this hollow, love is good kind of thing that while not necessarily untrue, also isn't necessarily compelling to say, because you're just saying what's on a greeting card. It doesn't, there's no life application to that. So regardless, the film, like I said, is filled with intriguing ideas. It's intriguing. It has an intriguing story, but it has been hollowed out for the film, and it definitely feels hollowed out. And in fact, there's this whole sequence. It's almost like they stretched it thin to like, oh no, we need to pad the running time, because there's this entire sequence where, and you expect this when the characters first end up in the fantastic world, whether that's John Carter on Mars, or whether that's Dorothy in Oz, or whether that's the Pevensies in Narnia. When the characters first end up in this fantastic world, you have this scene where you get to see what the world is like, right? It's like, oh, look at this weird thing and look at that weird thing. But in this film, there's this extended sequence, and it is nothing but like time-filling CGI. And so they end up in this field, and there's like these alien creatures that look like flowers, but they speak in the language of color. So like, but Reese Witherspoon is the only one who can speak colorese or whatever. So she's like talking to these things, and like it sounds silly to say, but I can see it working in a book.
Yeah.
But on screen, it just doesn't. There's no content. It's just like things lighting up colors, and I'm just like, that doesn't look real. It looks like bad CGI.
Yeah.
And I don't like. You're wasting my time at this point. Anyway, all that to say, the film is stretched thin. It's hollowed out. The story, like I said, while intriguing, never digs deep enough to make you truly care, which should be the easiest thing in the world, to have a girl who longs for her father to be present in her life, who finds out that her father is present, is alive and is somewhere, and she can go to him. That should be something that we root for and something that we really want. But we the audience are kept in the dark to an extent where we're never really sure if her getting to him is actually a good thing or not. It's all very strange, and there's no reason given for anything. And I usually hate when stories that are fantastic or science fiction or whatever try to over explain things, like, oh, we have to give a reason. Pretty soon I'm going to review the Power Rangers movie from last year. And when I do, that's a good case of, we're going to explain every last detail here to the point where we sap all the fun out of it.
Oh, no.
But with Wrinkle in Time, the film, it it under explains everything to the point where it just doesn't make sense.
Oh.
And I don't know whether things are good or whether they're bad or what to do. It's just like, oh, you can't go here yet because of evil, and you can't go here yet because of love. And it's like, but I don't understand what that means. It's all so
nebulous.
Right. And so you have like Zach Galifianakis, who plays like this guru. He's like a monk, and he lives in this volcano or whatever. And like, there's this weird, he like meditates on like these floating rocks, and there's like this weird thing where Reese Witherspoon thinks he's like really, really attractive, which is really weird to me, because I'm like, so then cast like John Hamm or something. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but so Zach Galifianakis is like this guru, and he's like, okay, I'm going to help you, to the girl. He's like, I'm going to help you see inside your mind to see your dad or whatever. I don't know. And he like touches her head and does like a Vulcan mind meld or whatever, and like sees the stars and all these planets and things. And then they see like shadows come in and like lightning. And then they're like, oh no, it's the evil name. I don't know what it is. It's some, like, I could Google it. It's like Zarnaxis. I mean, I don't know. I just made that up. Anyway, it's like some, weird entity or whatever. But then they're like, oh, you can't go there because of the evil. And I'm like, well, but I don't even know if I trust you, Zach Galifianakis. Yeah. So like, I don't know. And like the three like women, Mindy Kaling, Reese Witherspoon, and Oprah, I'm like, I guess you're supposed to be like the good witch, you know, and
That's
whatever.
The first thing that came to mind for me was the
witches.
Like
you're Glinda or whatever. But like I don't. But like Glinda, I was like, boom, I trust her. Like, she's nice. She's going to do good things. Mm-hmm. But like these characters, I don't trust. Like, and that may be partially because I just don't trust Oprah. I don't know what she's about. But also Mindy Kaling, like she only speaks in quotes. Uh-huh. So she like quotes famous people, and in the book she evidently like quotes philosophers and religious people, and she quotes the Bible, and she quotes like all of these written works and stuff. And in the movie, she quotes Chris Tucker. I'm not joking.
Did she say, "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?"
No, but she doesn't even she doesn't even quote him accurately. She goes, "Dang," and I'm like, "Oh, because it's PG. I get it.
You can't go, damn."
Right, and so she says, "Dang," and then because after she says every line, she like gives who said it. So she'll like say, "You must look within yourself," or whatever, and then Mahatma Gandhi or whatever. And so with this, she's like, "Dang, Tucker, American," and I'm like, "That's so dumb." Like I just feel that's
first of all, children don't know who Chris Tucker is because that's a quote from the film Friday, which is like a 1999 R-rated comedy with Ice Cube,
which I've never seen.
I haven't seen it either, but I know what it is, but like kids don't know that. And two, I don't think you misquoted him. He didn't say that, so I definitely don't trust you now, bitch.
Right. Plus, but see, here's the thing: if that's not the perfect example of hollowing out a film. I don't know what is. Where in the book she's going to quote philosophers and she's going to quote scientists and she's going to quote the Bible, and then in this movie she's going to quote Chris Tucker. You are removing all the substance from a story when you do that. I don't have to explain to you why Chris Tucker is inferior
to Jesus Christ.
To the words of Jesus. I don't think I have to do that, right? I mean, you don't even have to be a Christian to be like, "Yep, with you on that one, bud." I've said a lot of bad things, so I'm going to wrap it up. Dustin, would you recommend this film? If you've got kids and you want to throw something on that's inoffensive, that's not going to make you mad, it's just going to kind of like make you go, "What?" Like a lot. But maybe you're not even gonna watch it. Maybe it's just for the kids. Like, fine, like I could see that, but I don't think there's anything in this for adults. Which is a shame, because again, I've never read the book, but from what I hear, the book is like can be enjoyed by adults quite easily. And maybe it's because it's been hollowed out, but I don't think this movie is going to offer you anything that you don't already know. I mean, that the power of love is the greatest thing in the universe. Okay, great. But I could also watch Harry Potter and get that. And Harry Potter's the films are infinitely better. And so, like, I don't know. I mean, shoot, I could listen to that one Huey Lewis song and get it. The Power of Love is a better song, or is a better example of the power of love than this movie is. But all that to say, this is an inoffensive, if confusing film. So I'm going to give it 2 stars also. And it feels weird to do that because I know I gave Ready Player One 2 stars. And Ready Player One is a better movie, a much better movie. But at the same time, Ready Player One is a Spielberg movie, so it should be...
The bar's higher.
Yeah, the bar's higher.
Yeah.
So for this, it's a 2 star just because I'm saving that 1 star for something very special.
Yeah, I want the 1 star.
I don't know what it is
something.
yet. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to say 2 stars here. But sure. I guess I could say 1.5. But yeah, I would recommend it only if you wanted to throw something inoffensive on screen for your kids. That at least examines the importance of love, but at the end of the day, I think if you're examining the story for what it is, critically, you're gonna be left dry, and I think kids won't want to watch this a second time. I think kids will watch it the first time and say, "Okay, cool," and go about their day. I don't know what kids are into these days. They're Peppa Pigs and their Mickey Mouse clubhouses. I don't know, but I think probably they'll just go right on back to that, and they won't give A Wrinkle in Time a second thought. And for you, the adult in the room, you certainly will never think about this again, and probably you'll have a hard time remembering to take it back to Redbox because you won't remember that you've seen it. So either that, or you will remember to take it back to Redbox because you certainly are not paying another $1.50 for it. It's one or the other. It's a toss-up. It depends on your personality. So anyway, so that's A Wrinkle in Time, the film. I keep saying the film because I know the book is supposed to be so much better. So that A Wrinkle in Time.
We want to not confuse people. We are not giving a negative recommendation to the book.
Yes, I'm ignorant of the book's successes and failures.
That's A Wrinkle in Time, everybody. Dustin, I got a couple things to talk about.
Okay.
The newest release on my list is probably The Shape of Water. I'll just talk real briefly about this since it's already out for rent. So I think this won Best Picture, didn't it?
Yes.
So The Shape of Water is directed by Guillermo del Toro. It stars Sally, is that her name, Sally Hawkins?
Sally
Hawkins, Richard Jenkins, Octavia Spencer, Michael Shannon, and some guy in a prosthetic fishman suit. And this is a film about a mute woman in the early 60s, I think. Kennedy's the president, so early 60s.
Yeah.
The Russians are doing secret Russian stuff, so that's it's 60s. So there's a lot of horn-rimmed glasses and anyway, strange, very bad
skinny ties.
Yeah, skinny ties. Just odd social norm. I say odd, sexist social norms. Odd. What an odd social norm. Clean the floor, woman. It's like how queer.
How quaint.
So it's early 60s, and this Sally Hawkins is a mute woman named something.
That's a weird name.
No, it's I think it's pretty plain, and I just didn't bother to look it up. Anyway, she's a mute woman, and she's a maid, janitor, custodial worker at some kind of lab.
Okay.
With Octavia Spencer. And one day they bring in a new, I don't want to say exhibit, but a new specimen into this lab. And it pretty much, I think it swims over to the tank one day. It's like this just amphibious fish man. And it looks kind of like, it took me a second and this is just me, but it kept reminding me of the Slee Stacks from the
from the Land of the Lost.
But it's like it's this bipedal humanoid fish man.
Okay.
And it swims over and it's just like looking at her, and this is a woman that they set up very clearly from the beginning. I won't say how because it's always odd when they do this in films, but they set up this is a woman who works the night shift. She wakes up at midnight, she boils some eggs, she goes in the bathtub and does stuff, and then she's lonely, Dustin, and
okay.
yes. So they set up the do you remember way back when I did a review of The Master with Joaquin Phoenix, and I said this film should have been called The Masturbator? Yep. Anyway, this woman is lonely, and they set up her character very quickly of like, okay, so she can't talk. So it's very understandable why she can't really relate to that many people, why she's probably doesn't have some kind of romantic partner. And so they set her up real quick, but she's a very routinized but lonely person. So this fish man becomes this outlet for her in a way because she teaches it to sign, and she explains to her friend Richard Jenkins at some point that like this thing seems to really, it doesn't see her disability. It doesn't know what she lacks. And so for someone like her, it's the first time she's really felt like she's treated and seen as a person, and more than just someone who can't do something everyone else can do. Right. So it's so then there's this other plot with Michael Shannon and the U.S. government trying to kind of control the creature and then maybe kill it before the Russians can study it. And there's Russian spies. There's a much larger like plot. It's kind of, I didn't even realize was there. I didn't know much about the film going in. I just knew that it was a film where a woman copulates with a fish man, and that certainly happens. Thank Jesus it happens off screen. But it happens. Gross. And even when we were watching it, like they do one or two shots where she's like considering going back in there, and my wife was sitting there. She was like, "Ew, don't do that." And then she like walks into
the water.
No, he can breathe outside for a little bit.
Okay.
They copulate in and out of the water. Doesn't happen just once. She drank the Kool-Aid and it was good. That wasn't a specific euphemism. I just meant that she had a positive experience and she
move right on to the next bullet point there, Hooper.
She loves that fish man. Anyway, I'm really not doing the film justice. I like The Shape of Water. I had no expectations. Sure. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. Okay. It's good. It's really good. What the film has going for it is a film where everyone's decisions make sense to me. It really does make sense why this woman would sort of cross a special line here and help this creature and go out of her way to protect this creature and then have sex with it and risk a lot and do a lot of risky things for the benefit of this creature. It does. It really does make sense to me. Like, there's nothing in the film where I just go like, I don't know. Because at some point, Tara was like, she is crazy. And I was like, she's she's lonely. She's desperate. This is like her one connection. This is a film where everything the protagonist does, everything Michael Shannon does as an antagonist, even though he eventually is just like he really wants to stop them in it. Yeah. And to a point where it's like, man, I don't know, give up. Even here, it's like, I get it. Like, I understand where he's coming from too. So it's one of those films where everything in the story really does make sense to me. And that's really all I ever want out of films, is to have a story that unfolds in a way that I feel like would happen in this scenario. So what keeps it from being, that's what bumps it up to a 4 for me. Along with, the visuals, the camera work and the direction by Guillermo del Toro. Of course, the creature, he always does good job with creatures in films. And what keeps it from being a 5 stars is there's nothing here for me personally. So like with Logan or Rango, just 2 films I could think of right off the bat that are 5 stars for me. there's nothing here that satisfies me personally, more than just enjoying the film and appreciating that it addresses things that I like to see in movies.
Okay.
So I don't want. It's not like a low 4-star. It's a solid 4 stars. Right. I'm just telling you, like, 4 is a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm
totally.
not going to say it's a 5-star film because that would put it on par with Logan. I'd rather watch Logan.
Right.
But The Shape of Water is a good film, and you should go see it. I mean, I'm sure it's in Redbox. If it's not, it will be soon. You can rent it on iTunes, I'm sure. I got it at the library. And if you're watching this episode, as it comes out, you might have to be on still a little bit of a waiting list like I was. I was on a hold list for The Shape of Water. I had to wait for other people, for about 40 other people to get it first.
Holy cow.
Yeah, because people are interested. I mean, it won Best Picture, so everyone's like, well, what's this all about? And I'm sure they don't expect Fishman sex, but...
I didn't.
They're sure going to get it.
Oh, Lord.
Well, again...
They're not going to get it.
Off screen, yeah. You can Google that if you're really into that. But this is, you might have the FBI breaking down your door, but you can do it.
Let's not.
I don't give that a 4-star. The film gets a 4-star. Fish coitus does not.
Yeah, that does not have the HooperCast seal of approval.
No, we do not. We in no way endorse.
Not a sponsor.
Fishsex.com is not a sponsor of the HooperCast.
Don't give it an address. Gosh.
Everyone, make your way to that website.
Don't make your way there.
It's a scary place. The Shape of Water is a good film. I do recommend people see it. I think there's 1 or 2 people who might be who probably can't get past the, I will put in quotes, bestiality. First of all, it's not even that a big part of the film, but if you can't get on board with her committing to this creature, you're really not on board for the big events that happen in this film, Well,
let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Is it really that much different than, say, Beauty and the Beast?
No.
In terms of the bestiality, is it presented in a way that feels Beauty and the Beast-esque?
Right, sure. It's kind of that. I guess it's similar. It's just he's a fish man who doesn't speak or anything, but it's not like, I don't know, kind of like with the Beast. It's much more believable that the Beast and her make a connection. He's a prince. He's just a beast right now. It's just temporary.
Right. Sure.
He reads books. He speaks English.
Right.
But this is something that I guess she connects with on a really primal level. I guess.
Okay.
It makes sense. There wasn't a point where I was like, obviously as a person who's not attracted to fishmen. Or fish women.
Fish or men.
I'm attracted to human women, and that is the scope of my my proclivities. But I there wasn't a point where I let that get in the way of okay, I obviously accept this as it's happening because everything they've set up before it. You don't have to like fishmen. I don't know why I keep harping on this point, but I'm just saying, in films, you don't have to agree with the main character. You just have to understand why they make the choices that they make. Yeah, that's all. Anyway.
Agreed.
It is really not about their physical relationship. I'm just trying to point out that this film is worth seeing. And there's that's one thing that people seem to be getting hung up on. I don't know why, because it's not really that much of a part of the film. Anyway, Shape of Water gets 4 stars. I just really wanted to point that out. I definitely recommend seeing it.
I'm really glad to hear that. I'd heard really good things, and I'm glad to hear.
Yeah. Can I talk about a couple of other films that I've been going through some films I own just to sort of pass through them again, and since we haven't talked about them as much on the show, I mentioned Rango. I'm not going to say that much about it all because we have talked about Rango on the show before. I just want to point out that, as I said, it's a 5-star film for me. I watched it again recently just to revisit it, and I really just love that film. I love the process that led into how it was being made. The director Gore Verbinski, who also did Pirates of the Caribbean and other great films, The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage. Gore
Did he really?
He did, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and Michael Caine as an American. Why don't you come to my house? It's just one of those weird generic American. Anyway, Rango, Gore Verbinski even said, like, it's really nice to be able to do a film like this the way that the film should be done, which is a nice, relaxed pace. There's no imposed deadline. There's nothing. It's just a nice, relaxed pace where you come out to my house, my ranch house, we break story, and then we spend like a year just doing concept art. And having artists pass these, someone has an idea for a character, they sketched, they sketched out, and then they give it to this artist named Crash, who makes like a way better drawing of it, and then someone else 3D models that and decides what they'd look like from the back and how they would walk, and it's just like, and then you have the part where they shoot all the live action on a stage with all the actors with like minimal props and do it essentially like a weird little play. And that's what they use as reference for the animation. And they have Roger Deakins as the cinematic consultant on this. So he actually shows up and and Gore Verbinski, who's a director, all this is in the special features. He's one of those directors who likes to find the shot. And since it's animated, he can't really do that. But what they do is they do that Avatar thing where they have like a sort of a 3D map of the room that they're in on the scene, and Gore's walking around finding the shot like he would on set with those weird little telescopy things. And Roger Deakins is standing right there going, giving him pointers, being like, if we were shooting this live action, it'd be like this. And that explains why the film and the cinematography in the film is so good. And it's a Western. And you've got Roger Deakins shooting a Western, which is, if you've seen True Grit, that's a great thing. But in animation, you've got shots you can't get in live action. You've got sequences you can't get in live action. Like Gore even says, what has never been done in a Western before? And he said an aerial chase. And you have these moles chasing all the main characters on this big army of moles riding on these bats, chasing these characters on their hitched wagon. And it's just a really exciting film, and I really enjoy it. And I just wanted to say real quick, since I was going back through my catalog of films from 2011 on, that's like a long-term project I'm doing. I had to check Rango out again from 2011, and I really love that film. I love it even more than I did a few years ago when we talked about it. And if I ever ran into Gore Verbinski in public, I wouldn't be like, oh, I love Pirates 1. I love that. I would tell him like, I really love Rango, and I think the work done on that film was extraordinary from everybody involved. I think at the time we disagreed, Dustin, you and I, about like maybe if it would appeal to kids or not. Right. So there's certainly weight to that argument for sure. But just as an adult who can appreciate everything else about it, like I'm sure my kids like Rango. My daughter will watch Rango and pay attention to it. And I think that's obviously, I think a good deal of that's to the cinematography's credit. I think when you shoot a film well, people want to look at the screen. And so I think Roger Deakins' consulting is a big part of that. But as an adult, I can appreciate everything else technical about this. And so I really, really love Rango. All right, well, it appears, once again, Dustin's video has disappeared from the end of the episode. So I'm going to go through one more movie here, and then we'll get out of here. Sorry about the inconvenience. Dustin just up and disappeared on me. Sorry, I want to clear my docket a little bit. Another film I really I revisited recently that we have not talked about on the podcast. I think you've seen it too. Chronicle. So Chronicle is from 2012, I think. Yeah, it's directed by Josh Trank. I think that's his first film. So this is where Michael B. Jordan and Josh Trank started working together. This film also stars Dane DeHaan. This is pre-Amazing Spider-Man, or same year maybe. Dane DeHaan, and then one other actor I don't have the name of. But this is a film about three high schoolers who are, two of them are cousins. The main character is Dane DeHaan, and he's got a cousin, and then they have this other character, Steve, played by Michael B. Jordan, who's this quarterback who they befriend after this incident happens that gives them all telekinesis. And so it's a found footage movie. This is all from Dane DeHaan's camera. And then later on in the film, some people complained about this. I thought it was fine. It's they have a lot of multiple cut points later in the film because you have more and more people's phones and cameras being allowed to be used as sources of video. So, but one, you need that to be able to view the climax of the film, which is like an aerial battle. And so in 2, if this was found footage assembled by the government, you would be grabbing everyone's cell phones who saw this event and splicing it together. And there's people on they go to different sections of the city. You couldn't have one. It would make sense to have one handycam following them. Like, the film is very good about establishing, okay, this is a human being holding a camera. And then later in the film, when they're developing their telekinesis more, well, Dane DeHaan figured out how to make the camera float. So sometimes the camera is floating, sort of just tracking their conversation because he's making it float, because he's obsessed with documenting stuff and he has telekinesis. Why would the camera not float and give you a better shot? And so then later in the film, why wouldn't there be intercut cell phone video from this angle on the ground? So it's all set up. So I think that's fine. But it's a really cool film about 3 kids who get telekinesis. And so that makes them closer friends, and how they develop it. At some point they learn to fly. And then what sort of happens when, one of them kind of starts taking it too far and likes the power a little too much. It's a really interesting film, and Chronicle is really underrated. I haven't heard a thing about it since it came out, and I really think Chronicle is an underrated film, and it's definitely, in terms of found footage, it's among the better ones I've seen. And as a science fiction, I won't say superhero film because it's not a superhero film, but as a piece of science fiction superpower film, I mean, it's really, I think it's something that ought to be looked at, because it deals with the consequences and the ramifications of having this sort of power really realistically. I mean, the character who takes it too far, I mean, I'm sure you can guess by the casting, it's Dane DeHaan. And his dad's an alcoholic, and his mom is really sick. I mean, he has like a family dynamic that leads to him being the way he is. And I like Chronicle. I really like Chronicle. So I got this at the library. Chronicle is not one of those films that's just it's gonna pop up immediately when you look for it to rent somewhere. Maybe not on iTunes, so you might have to go to the library. I didn't see it on Netflix or Amazon. So you're gonna have to iTunes rent this. Or I'm sure you can pay. I think you can pay to watch it on Amazon. You can rent it on Amazon for money. I recommend people see it. I think if nothing else, it will remind you in terms of story and character, how to handle this subject well. Maybe not necessarily in technical execution. It's fine. It's low budget. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine film, but it's small scale. But in terms of an interesting way to handle this genre, I really think Chronicle is a must see. So that's a 4-star from me. Again, not 5, although I'm not really sure why not 5, I guess just because there's not as much spectacle, and maybe that's just what I like to see when characters can fly. But at the same time, it's not a 5 because it does nothing. Again, it does nothing for me personally when you really think about it, but everything else about it fires on all cylinders. So that's definitely a really high 4-star recommendation from me. I'll save the rest of these for another time. Ahead after Infinity War, which I will be seeing tomorrow, and that's why I'm wearing my Captain America shirt, because I'm really excited. I've got tickets to a theater where the seats are reserved, and they serve food and beer. The next time you see us, we will be discussing that film. I'm really excited, and I'm just I'm so happy, Dustin. I've been growing this beard since our cruise. I only today sort of knocked some length off of it, but I was calling it the Infinity Beard because I was thinking I'll shave it after the movie, But then I just looked in the mirror today and I was like, I just gotta, not even with a guard. I was just nicking off little who cares? Anyway, I've been anticipating this film, and I've just been sort of using this beard as a little distraction on the way. On the way there, oh man, been waiting a long time. Just stroking my beard, movie's almost here. All right, guys, thanks for listening and watching, and check us out. Follow us on Twitter at Dustin Weldon, at Connor Dempsey, at HooperCast, although I don't use that account for anything other than to post the links to the videos. So if you want to hear us tweet things that aren't automated links, go follow us on our individual accounts. We are people, as you can see. if you're on YouTube. If you're on SoundCloud, you don't know what we look like. You can't verify that we're not like bots with, yeah, but we're not. We're people. Yeah. Anyway, get out this weekend, go see some movies, but this weekend, go see Infinity War, because that's what we're going to do. Bye, guys. See you, Dustin.